How did one envelope in a hospital lobby turn me from his wife into not even family in 1 minute? Why did the papers say I was cut out of his will and cut off from his money while people watched me read it? My name is Christabel LaMotte, and I always knew how to look like the good person in a bad moment. When Ethan went into the hospital, people looked at me first. They waited to see if I would break down, if I would beg, if I would become small. I did not become small. I became busy. I became useful. I became the wife who handled everything. That is what I told myself anyway. Ethan's emergency happened fast. 1 minute he was talking in the kitchen about a work call. The next minute, he was holding the counter like it was moving. He said he felt dizzy. I told him to sit down. He asked me to call for help. I did. I watched the paramedics take over like they owned the air in our house. One of them asked for his medicines and allergies. I said I knew most of it. Another asked for his insurance card. I said it was in my wallet. People think that moment should change you. People think you should become kinder. I became stricter. I saw a problem and I wanted to solve it. I also saw a chance to be seen. I hate to admit that, but I can still feel it now. I felt important. At the hospital, the waiting room lights were too white. The chairs were too close. Everyone around me looked like a sad ghost. I did not want to look like them. I kept my back straight. I kept my phone in my hand like it was a tool. I sent messages. I answered messages. I made sure the right people knew I was there. Ethan's mother, Ruth, arrived with a tight face and a bag of snacks like she planned for a storm. She asked how long he had been inside. I told her it felt like hours. She asked if I'd spoken to the doctor. I said I was waiting for the update. She asked if I ate anything. I said I could not. She watched me. I could tell she was counting my breaths. Ruth had a way of looking like a quiet judge. That always bothered me. She had never said I was not good enough, but she never said I was great either. She would do small things, like move a cup off the edge of a table, or wipe a crumb away, like she was cleaning up after me. Ethan called my phone from inside the unit later, even though I knew he was supposed to rest. He asked where I was. I said I was still in the waiting room. He asked if I could come sit by him. I said they would not let me in yet. He asked if I was okay. I said I was doing my best. Then he asked, in that calm voice he used when he wanted something, if I had updated his insurance details and signed the new consent forms. I told him the system was acting strange. I said the website was slow. I said the nurse said it could wait. I made my voice gentle, like he was the one making trouble by asking. He went quiet. Then he said he needed to know things were handled. I said he should focus on healing and stop stressing me out. When I hung up, I stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen. I looked tired enough. That mattered. I took a selfie from the waiting room. I did not smile. I wrote a short line about being strong for my family. I added a heart emoji. I knew people would send support. I knew my sister would repost it. I knew my mom would call and say she was proud. It worked. My sister Mara called fast. She asked how bad it was. I said it was scary, but under control. She asked if Ethan was being difficult. I said he was acting like I could fix everything with one hand, while holding the world with the other. Mara made a sound like a laugh and said that sounded like him. She said I had always carried the emotional load. I agreed with her, because agreement is easy when it makes you the hero. My mom, Lorna, called too. She asked if I was sleeping. I said no. She asked if Ethan thanked me. I said not really. She said men like Ethan got used to being taken care of and forgot to respect it. I told her. She understood me. I told her I was doing everything alone. That was not fully true. Ethan's brother, Nolan, texted and asked what we needed. He said he could pick up Piper from school and keep her overnight if I wanted. He said he could bring clean clothes and chargers. I told him we were fine. I did not want to share the role of strong spouse. If I shared it, I would look less essential. Later, I went to the hospital cafeteria to get coffee. Ruth followed me, like she was afraid I would vanish. She asked if I had eaten. I said I did not have time. She asked if I had spoken to Ethan. I said yes. She asked what he needed. I said he needed me to not fall apart. She looked at my clothes then, and her eyes paused on my neat hair and my clean shoes. She asked, careful and polite, why I looked ready for work. I told her I had been crying in the bathroom, and I pulled myself together because someone had to. I said I could not afford to look messy when my husband was in a hospital bed. Ruth said she understood, but her mouth did not match her eyes. I went back to the waiting room, and my phone buzzed again. It was a message from my friend Jessa at work. She asked if Ethan was okay. I told her it was serious but stable. She asked if I needed anything. I told her I needed people to stop expecting me to be perfect. Jessa said Ethan was lucky to have me. I liked that line. I saved it in my mind like a small prize. When the nurse finally let me in for a short visit, Ethan looked smaller than I expected. He had tubes and stickers, and his skin looked dull. He tried to smile. He asked if Piper was okay. I said she was fine and busy with cartoons. He asked if I called his boss. I said yes. He asked if I brought his charger. I said I forgot, and then said he should not be worried about a charger. He asked if I could sit closer. I sat close enough to look loving. He asked why my voice sounded sharp. I said I was tired and scared. He said he was scared too. I told him he was safe now, but I also told him he needed to stop making everything harder. That was how I spoke when I felt trapped. I acted like my anger was a service. That night, I went home for a shower. The house felt too quiet without him. Piper was asleep on the couch with a blanket. I carried her to her bed and stood there longer than I meant to. I watched her breathing, and for a second I felt a cold fear. I thought about how much of our life depended on Ethan. I thought about the mortgage. I thought about the savings account that was mostly his. I did not like those thoughts, so I pushed them away. In the kitchen, I saw Ethan's laptop open on the counter. A spreadsheet was on the screen, but there was no title. Just rows and columns, dates, numbers. I told myself it was a work thing. I did not touch it. I did not want to feel like the type of wife who snoops. Still, I noticed a small sticky note near the keyboard. It said, in simple letters, "Bring forms." I frowned like the house had said something rude to me. My phone buzzed again. A message request popped up from a name I had not seen in a while, Drake Hollis. The preview line said he saw my post and hoped I was holding up, and he could bring me coffee if I needed a break. I stared at the screen long enough to feel my own pulse. Then I told myself I deserved kindness too, and I typed back. I answered Drake because it felt like a door opening in a room with no air. I told myself it was only coffee. I told myself it was not romantic. I told myself I was allowed to talk to someone who did not need anything from me. Drake replied fast. He said he was sorry Ethan was in the hospital. He said I looked strong online. He asked when I ate last. I said I could not remember. He said he could meet me near my work and bring something warm. The next morning, I went to my office like it was a shield. I worked in medical billing, so no one questioned me when I said I had to fix paperwork. The building was bright and loud. People talked about normal things. It made me feel like I still had a life. Jessa came to my desk and asked how I was holding up. I said I was doing everything alone. She asked if Ethan's family was helping. I said they made things worse. I said Ruth kept watching me like I was a problem. Jessa said Ruth sounded intense. I nodded like I was the victim of unfair eyes. My manager walked by and asked if I needed time off. I said no. I said I was stronger when I stayed busy. I made my voice steady. I knew that kind of answer made people respect you. Around noon, Drake texted that he was downstairs. I told Jessa I needed air and a coffee. She said I should take care of myself. I liked that she said that, like I was a plant that needed water. I went to the parking garage because it felt private. The concrete smelled like dust and old rain. Drake stood near the elevator with 2 cups and a small bag. He smiled like he was the good part of my day. He asked if I slept at all. I said barely. He said Ethan should be grateful for me. I said Ethan did not see what I did. Drake said some men only learned when they lost something. I should have walked away at that line. I did not. I leaned into it like it was truth. He asked if I wanted to sit in his car because it was cold. I said yes. We talked with the windows fogging a little. He asked if Ethan treated me well. I said Ethan made me feel like staff in my own house. I said Ethan cared about rules more than feelings. Drake said I deserved someone who cared about my feelings. I said I was not asking for much, just respect. He reached for my hand. I let him. I told myself that holding a hand was not cheating. I told myself it was support. I told myself Ethan would understand if he really loved me. That thought was twisted, but it fit my need, so I kept it. My phone buzzed. Ethan's name showed on the screen. For a second I felt annoyed, like he was interrupting my rescue. I answered with a soft voice. Ethan asked if I could come to the hospital early because the nurse wanted to explain the plan for the next day. I said I was in a work meeting. He asked if I could step out for a short call. I said I could not because my manager was right there. He said he needed me to listen because the information mattered. I said he was putting too much pressure on me. He went quiet, and then he said he did not want to fight. He said he only wanted to know he was not alone. I told him he was not alone, but I also told him he was being unfair. I said I was holding everything up while he rested. After the call, Drake asked what Ethan wanted. I said Ethan wanted to control my time even from a hospital bed. Drake shook his head like he understood my pain. He said I should stop letting Ethan run my life. I said I did not let him run my life. Then I checked the time and realized I had been gone too long. Back upstairs, my work screen showed an open calendar. It looked empty. I liked that it looked empty. An empty calendar made my lie look possible. I typed a few notes into a file so it would seem like I was working. I told myself that was smart, not dishonest. In the afternoon, Ruth called me. She asked if I spoke to the doctor. I said yes, even though I had not. She asked what the doctor said. I said Ethan was stable and improving. Ruth asked if I would be there for the nurse talk. I said I would try. She paused and asked where I was right now. I said I was at my desk. She said she thought she heard cars. I said the office was near the street. Ruth said, okay, but her voice sounded flat. It made me angry. I thought she should be thanking me, not checking me. When I finally drove to the hospital, I stopped at the pharmacy first, on purpose. I bought gum, tissues, and a small bottle of pain pills Ethan did not even need. I wanted a bag in my hand. I wanted proof. I did not keep the receipt. I told myself receipts were clutter, and I hated clutter. At the hospital, I walked fast down the hallway. I practiced my face before I entered Ethan's room. I made my eyes soft. I made my mouth look worried. I held the pharmacy bag like a badge. Ethan looked tired, but more awake than yesterday. He asked where I had been. I said the pharmacy line was long and traffic was bad. He asked why I did not answer his second call. I said my phone was on silent because I was talking to the pharmacist. He asked what I got. I showed him the bag and said supplies. He stared at the bag like it did not match the story. He asked if I could show the receipt because he needed it for records. I said I threw it away because it was nothing important. I said he was acting paranoid. He asked if I had signed the new hospital forms. I said I tried, and the nurse said it could wait. He said the nurse told him the forms were still missing. I said the nurse must have mixed it up with another patient. I said mistakes happened. Ruth was there when I said it. She did not argue with me. She only looked at Ethan and asked what he needed now. Ethan said he needed rest and clear information. Ruth said she would handle the nurse talk with him if I could not. That felt like a slap, even though she said it politely. I told them I could handle it. Ruth asked if I wanted to sit in for the nurse talk right then. I said I could not because I had to go home and check on Piper. Ruth said Nolan could handle Piper tonight. I said no, because Piper needed her mother. Ethan watched me closely. He asked if Piper asked about him. I said yes, and I said Piper missed him so much. That part was true, but I used it like a rope. I wanted Ethan to feel guilty for being sick. I wanted him to feel like he owed me. When I plugged Ethan's phone into the charger, the screen lit up. I saw a missed call labeled No Caller ID. I froze for a second. Ethan noticed my eyes. He calmly took the phone and turned it face down. He did not explain. He did not accuse. He only asked if I could bring his laptop tomorrow. I said yes, but my stomach tightened. I told myself the call was probably work or hospital admin. Still, I felt like something was happening without me. I did not like being outside the circle. On the drive home, Drake texted that he hoped I was okay, and that I did not need to carry everything alone. I looked at the road and told myself I deserved someone who saw me. I also told myself Ethan had pushed me here, even while he lay in a hospital bed. By the end of that week, I felt like the hospital had swallowed my life and still did not thank me. Ethan was alive, yes, but he was not grateful in the way I wanted. He kept asking for details. He kept asking for times. He kept asking for receipts. Every question made me feel accused, even when he sounded calm. So when Jessa suggested a rooftop bar night, just for 1 hour, I said yes, like I had been offered water in the desert. I told myself I needed it to reset. I told myself I could not care for someone if I was empty. I told myself Ethan was safe in the hospital and had nurses and machines and his mother. I told myself he did not really need me. Before I left, I called Ruth and asked if Ethan had eaten. She said he ate a little and asked if I was coming for the nurse talk in the morning. I said yes. Then I added that I had to stop by work later to handle a billing issue. Ruth did not argue. She only said she hoped I was taking care of myself too. Her voice sounded polite, but I still heard judgment in it because I wanted to hear it. At home, I changed my clothes. Nothing too bold, nothing too innocent. I wanted to look normal, like a woman who had a hard week and deserved air. Mara called while I was putting on lip balm. She asked where I was going. I said I was meeting friends for one drink. Mara said I should not feel guilty. She said Ethan's sickness did not erase my needs. I agreed quickly. Mara always gave me the kind of permission I liked. I did not tell Ethan I was going out. I told myself it would only worry him. I told myself I was protecting him. That sounded better than the truth, which was that I did not want him to ask questions. At the rooftop bar, the air smelled like warm metal and sweet drinks. Music thumped through the floor under my shoes. People laughed like nothing bad ever happened. When I stepped into that noise, I felt my shoulders drop. I felt like a different version of myself, one who did not carry monitors and forms and worry. Jessa waved me over to a table near the railing. 2 other co-workers were there, and one of Mara's friends. They all asked how Ethan was doing. I said he was stable. Then I added that it was hard because he was not himself. Jessa asked what I meant. I said he was cold. I said he spoke to me like I was a worker. I said he made me prove everything, even small things. They leaned in, hungry for a story. I gave it to them. I said I stayed up all night handling calls. I said Ethan still acted like I was failing him. I said I felt unseen in my own marriage. I said I did not want praise, but I wanted basic respect. I even said, with a tired laugh, that I felt like a nurse who did not get paid. Someone said Ethan sounded ungrateful. I nodded. That nod felt like power. When people agree with you, your choices start to feel clean. Drake arrived after 20 minutes. He texted first, asking where I was. I told him the table near the railing. He walked in like he belonged there, like my life had space for him. He asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, but I made my eyes look tired so he would push. He said I was carrying too much. I said I always carried too much. Jessa raised her eyebrows at me in a teasing way. She asked who he was. I said he was a friend from work contacts. Drake said he worked in medical devices and knew how stressful hospital life could be. He said he respected what I was doing. That word, respected, landed in my chest like a warm stone. We talked in a tight circle. Drake asked if Ethan had apologized for being hard on me. I said no. I said Ethan acted like the world owed him care. Drake shook his head and said some men used illness as a way to control the people around them. I did not correct him. I let the idea grow. When someone pulled out a phone for a group picture, I did not move away from Drake. I stood close. Drake's arm touched my back, not in a clear way, but enough to be felt. The flash hit my eyes. I smiled. I told myself it was only a photo. I told myself I was allowed to smile. I told myself Ethan had no right to lock my face into sadness. After the picture, Mara's friend asked if Ethan would be mad if he knew. I said Ethan would be mad at anything that gave me joy. I said he needed me miserable so I would not leave. That was not a fair thing to say, but it sounded sharp and smart, and everyone listened. Then my phone vibrated. Ethan's name appeared again. My first feeling was irritation. I hated that he could reach me through one small screen. I answered and stepped aside near the bar, turning my body so no one could hear. Ethan asked where I was. I said I was home. I said I was sitting near Piper's bed, trying to get her to sleep. He asked why the background sounded loud. I said the TV was on low. He asked if I could come early tomorrow for the discharge planning talk. I said I would try. He said he needed a yes or no. I said he was putting pressure on me again. He paused and said he was not trying to pressure me. He said he was trying to plan. He said planning helped him feel safe. I said I had been planning for everyone for years and no one thanked me. Ethan said he thanked me. I said words did not count if the tone was wrong. I ended the call quickly. My hand shook a little, not from fear, but from anger. I did not like that he sounded calm. If he sounded calm, I could not call him cruel. Calm made him look reasonable, and that was dangerous to my story. Back at the table, I told them Ethan was checking on me, like I was a child. I said he wanted to know where I was every minute. Jessa frowned and said that sounded stressful. Drake said I should set boundaries. I said I tried, but Ethan always made himself the victim. I said he was good at that. Later, when we went down to the curb to get rides, someone tagged me in the photo right away. I saw it pop up on my screen with the rooftop bar location and the time. For a second, my stomach dropped. I told myself it was fine because Ethan would not be scrolling social media in the hospital. But people share. People talk. People show screens to other people while standing in lines and waiting rooms. On the way home, Ethan called again. I let it ring twice, then answered with a slow breath, like I had been asleep. He asked if I could look at his email, because the hospital sent a form link. I said I was too tired and would do it in the morning. He asked why I sounded awake. I said he woke me up. He asked if I could please just be honest with him. I said I was honest. He went quiet. Then he said he did not want to argue. He said he needed a partner. I told him I had been his partner through everything, and now he was testing me like I was a stranger. When I hung up, my phone lit again with a new message. It was from Ethan. He sent a screenshot of the rooftop photo. Under it, he wrote one short sentence asking if I wanted to correct the record. When Ethan sent the screenshot, I felt heat climb my neck like I had been caught doing something childish. It was not even a clear photo. It was just a group shot with bright lights and faces too close together. But the timestamp was there. The location tag was there. The truth was there, in a simple way that did not need my words. I stared at the message until my eyes hurt. Then I did what I always did when the facts made me look bad. I attacked the meaning instead of the event. I typed back that it was an old photo. I said someone posted it late. I said people did that all the time. I added a sad face emoji to make it look like I was hurt by his suspicion. I told myself I was protecting him from stress. I told myself I was protecting me from consequences. Both felt like the same thing in my head. Ethan replied with one line. He said he could see the date on the post and he did not want games. He asked if I had been out last night while he was alone in the hospital. That word, alone, annoyed me. Ethan had nurses, monitors, and a whole building of help. I had a child, a job, and a house. If anyone was alone, it was me. That was how I framed it. I told him he was being unfair. I said I went out for 1 hour because I was breaking. I said he did not understand pressure. I said his family watched me like I would steal the hospital bed. Ethan said he was not talking about his family. He said he was talking about trust. Trust. I hated that word because it sounded like a rule I did not agree to. 2 days later, Ethan came home. The doctor said he needed rest and simple routines. Ruth brought soup and folded towels in my kitchen like she lived there. Nolan carried Ethan's bag and made small jokes like he was trying to keep the air light. Piper ran to Ethan and hugged him carefully, like she was afraid he might snap. Ethan asked Piper if she kept her room clean. Piper said she tried. Ethan told her he missed her. Piper smiled, then glanced at me like she was checking if it was safe. I stood there with my arms crossed, and I told myself I was the stable one. I told myself I was the adult. I told myself Ethan coming home was a new chance to do things my way. But the house felt different as soon as he stepped in. Ethan moved slowly, but his eyes were sharp. He did not look at me the way he used to. He did not reach for my hand. He did not ask for comfort. He asked where his laptop was. He asked where the mail had been placed. He asked if the bills were paid. I said yes to most of it. I said it in a tone that meant, stop asking. Ethan only nodded. That night, he slept in the guest room. He said he needed quiet and space for his breathing. I told him the main bedroom was quieter and bigger. He said he did not want to move yet. I asked if he was punishing me. He said no. He said he was healing. I almost laughed. Healing sounded like an excuse when it did not serve me. In the kitchen the next morning, Ethan poured coffee into a mug and did not offer me any. There were 2 mugs now, placed apart on the counter. It looked like a statement. I told myself I did not care. I told myself I could make my own coffee. He asked about a charge on our joint card. He said it was from a place downtown. He asked what it was for. I said it was hospital supplies and parking. Ethan asked which supplies. I said small things. Ethan asked why the charge was so high for small things. I said prices were crazy and he would know that if he ever did errands. He did not argue. He just looked at the screen of his phone and nodded once. That nod felt worse than yelling. It felt like he was saving my words somewhere. Later, I went to pick Piper up from school. The pickup line was slow, and the sun hit my windshield in a way that made me squint. A mum I knew from the playground leaned toward my open window and asked if Ethan was home now. I said yes, he was recovering. She said she was glad, and then she said she thought she saw me at a rooftop bar last week. My chest tightened. I smiled like she was confused. I said it must have been someone who looked like me. She laughed and said maybe. But her eyes stayed on mine too long. I drove forward when the line moved, and my fingers gripped the steering wheel hard. At home, Mara came by with iced drinks and loud energy. She asked how Ethan was acting. I said he was cold and suspicious. I said he was treating me like a liar. Mara said he was probably embarrassed that he needed help. She said men hated that. She said I should not let his mood control me. Ethan heard her voice from the hallway and came into the kitchen. Mara asked him how he felt. Ethan said he felt tired and wanted peace. Mara asked if peace meant controlling everyone around him. Ethan said he was not controlling anyone. He said he was setting simple boundaries to rest. Mara rolled her eyes. She said he was dramatic. Ethan did not respond. He just poured water into a glass and left the room. Mara whispered that he was doing the silent treatment as a weapon. I nodded because nodding kept Mara on my side. That weekend, Ruth invited us to a family restaurant dinner. She said Ethan needed familiar faces and normal food. I knew she also wanted to watch me in public. I went anyway because I did not want her to say I refused family. The long table was full. Nolan was there, Ruth was there. Cal, Ethan's friend, came for a quick hello. Piper sat between Ethan and me, swinging her feet. I smiled and passed food like I was hosting. I wanted people to see me doing wife tasks. Ruth asked me, in a voice that tried to sound casual, if Drake Hollis was a friend of mine. My stomach dropped so fast I almost choked on water. I asked why she was saying that name. Ruth said she heard it from someone at the hospital, and she wanted to make sure there was no confusion. I told her she was trying to start problems. I said it was cruel to question me while Ethan was healing. I said she should be supporting our marriage, not acting like a detective. Ruth said she was not accusing me. She said she was protecting her son from more stress. Ethan listened without interrupting. That scared me. I wanted him to defend me or attack me. Either one would fit my story. His silence did not. Piper looked up at me and asked why everyone sounded angry. I forced a smile and said no one was angry. Ethan said gently that adults sometimes talk too loudly. Piper nodded but did not eat much after that. When we got home, Ethan walked past me and went to the guest room again. I followed him to the doorway and asked if he believed Ruth over me. Ethan said he believed patterns. He said he did not want to fight in front of Piper. He said he wanted calm in the house. I told him he was acting like I was dangerous. Ethan said he was acting like he was learning. That night, I heard a small click from somewhere in the house, like a drawer locking. Then, later, I smelled a faint toner smell, like something had printed. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was imagining it because I felt guilty. But when I lay in bed alone, I heard Ethan's phone alarm through the wall. The sound was short and soft. After it, the house went still again, like it was waiting for the next move. I started watching Ethan the way you watch a door that might slam. He did not yell. He did not throw things. He did not call me names. That almost made it worse, because I could not point to one bad moment and say he was the problem. He moved through the house like a guest who knew the layout. He put his cup in the sink and rinsed it right away. He wiped the counter after he used it. He spoke to Piper with the same soft voice every time. Then he went back to the guest room and closed the door. When I tried to talk, he answered like a customer service person. He asked what I needed. He said he would respond later if Piper was nearby. He told me he wanted calm for the child. I told myself he was using Piper as a shield. I told myself he was doing it to make me look like the bad one if I pushed. That week, I went back to the gym, even though I did not want to. I wanted a reason to leave the house that sounded healthy. I wanted to say I was working on myself. I also knew Drake was often in that area. I told myself it was not planned. In the gym lobby, the air smelled like rubber mats and bright cleaner. Drake was there, leaning near the water machine like it was normal. He asked how Ethan was doing now. I said Ethan was home but acting strange. I said he was cold and quiet, like he wanted me to feel guilty all day. Drake said Ethan was trying to control me with silence. I said that sounded right. Drake asked if Ethan knew about us. I said there was no us. I said Drake was just someone who understood me when my own husband did not. Drake said he understood more than anyone. He asked if I regretted anything. I said I regretted being treated like my needs did not matter. Then he asked in a low voice if I wanted to get coffee after my workout. I said I could not because Ethan expected me home. Drake smiled like that was a joke. He said I should stop letting a sick man run my schedule. That line made me feel both strong and sick. I told myself Ethan had used his illness to get attention. I told myself Ethan had made everyone pity him and forget about me. I told myself I had earned one small escape. So I went to coffee with Drake for 20 minutes. I sat in a corner seat, where no one from the neighborhood would likely be. Drake asked if I felt lonely. I said I felt invisible in my own life. Drake said I should be seen. I let him talk because his words were soft and easy. I did not correct him when he spoke like Ethan was already my past. On the way back, I stopped at the pharmacy. I wanted a new cover story ready. The line was long, and the bright lights made my eyes tired. I bought vitamins and a small bottle of cough syrup Piper did not need. I kept the receipt this time, but only because I wanted to wave it later like a flag. When I got home, Ethan was on the couch with a laptop open. Piper was coloring on the floor near his feet. Ethan looked up and asked where I had been. I said the gym and the pharmacy. He asked why it took so long. I said the pharmacy line was slow. Then I held up the bag and the receipt, like it proved my whole day. Ethan nodded once. He asked what time I left the gym. I told him a time that felt safe. He asked how long I stayed. I said about an hour. He asked if I spoke to anyone there. I said hello to people, like normal. He asked who. I said it did not matter. He did not argue. He just closed the laptop slowly and asked Piper if she wanted a snack. Piper said yes. Ethan asked if she wanted apple slices. Piper said yes again, and she looked relieved, like the adult voices were moving away from her. I followed Ethan into the kitchen and asked why he was acting like I was on trial. Ethan said he was not putting me on trial. He said he was learning what was true. I told him he was paranoid. I told him he was letting his mother poison him. Ethan said his mother did not control him. I asked if he wanted to check my phone next. Ethan said he did not want to touch my phone. He said he only wanted honesty. I laughed and said he did not get to demand honesty when he shut me out for weeks. Ethan said he did not shut me out. He said I left, over and over, and then blamed him for the distance. I felt my chest tighten. I hated that he said it so simply, like it was obvious. That night, after Piper went to bed, I tried a different angle. I went to the guest room door and asked if we could talk like adults. Ethan opened the door a few inches. He asked what I wanted to talk about. I said I wanted to move forward. I said the hospital changed everything and we needed to reconnect. Ethan said he agreed that things had changed. He said reconnecting needed truth first. I said truth was not a weapon. Ethan said he was not using it as a weapon. He said it was the foundation. I told him he was being dramatic. I told him he was punishing me because I went out one time. Ethan said it was not one time. He said it was a pattern. He said he did not want to argue details in the hallway. He asked me to go to bed. I stepped closer and asked if he still loved me. Ethan said love was not the question right now. He said respect and safety were the questions. I asked what he meant by safety. Ethan said emotional safety. He said he would not live in constant confusion. The next morning, I noticed small changes everywhere. The mail was sorted into neat piles. One pile had a plain label on top that said utilities. Another pile said household. Ethan never did labels before. He also kept his keys separate from mine. There was a new key on his ring, shiny and unfamiliar. On his phone screen, when it lit up on the counter, I saw a calendar reminder. It said, meeting, personal. No place, no details, just that. Then, later, I heard a soft beep from his phone, like a recording app starting or stopping. When I walked into the room, the sound stopped. Ethan looked up and asked if I needed something. I said no. That afternoon, I walked past the office nook and saw his laptop open again. A spreadsheet was there, but I could not see the title. The columns had dates and notes, like call, pickup, charge, visit. I felt cold. I asked what he was doing. Ethan said he was organizing his life. I told him that sounded extreme. Ethan said it sounded necessary. He asked if I was planning to keep living in the same house with him. I said, of course, because I was his wife. Ethan said being a wife was not only a word. He said it came with honesty. I got angry and said he was acting like a lawyer. Ethan said he was not acting like anything. He said he was choosing to be careful. That evening, Mara called and asked if Ethan was still doing the quiet abuse thing. I said yes, because I wanted Mara on my side. Mara said I should push harder. She said men like Ethan needed a shock. She said I should tell him I had options. So I tried. On the stairwell landing, when Ethan walked up slowly with one hand on the rail, I told him I was not going to beg for basic love. I said, if he kept treating me like a stranger, I would live my own life. Ethan stopped on the step below me and looked up, calm and tired. He asked if I was threatening him. I said I was stating facts. Ethan said he did not respond to threats. He said he responded to facts and proper steps. Then he said, in the flattest voice I had ever heard from him, that he would handle it properly. The next morning, I woke up with a tight jaw and a plan to win the mood in the house. I told myself Ethan had to break first. I told myself he would come back to me when he got scared of losing me. My phone buzzed before I even got out of bed. The message was short and clean. It said Ethan needed me to meet him at the main hospital lobby, near the cafe, at 9:30. It said it was important and about family paperwork. I felt relief at first. I told myself he finally saw I mattered. I told myself he was going to put me back in the center. I drove there early and fixed my face in the car mirror. I made myself look worried, not angry. I wanted the staff to see the loyal wife again. In the lobby, people moved in slow lines. A volunteer pushed a cart of flowers. A nurse walked fast with a clipboard. The cafe line curled around a sign that said to be patient. Ethan was already there, sitting straight on a bench near the entrance. He looked healthier than last week, but colder. Piper was not with him. Ruth stood a few steps away, holding her phone, watching the doors like she was waiting for someone. I walked up and asked why we had to meet here. Ethan said he wanted things done in a public place, and he did not want a scene at home. I told him he was being dramatic. He said he was being careful. I asked if this was about his mother again. Ethan said it was about boundaries and facts. I asked what paperwork he meant. Ethan said I would see in a minute. I tried to take his hand, like a test. He did not pull away, but he did not hold me back. His hand stayed flat and still, like a dead phone. I leaned in and asked if he was still mad about the rooftop photo. Ethan said it was not only that. He said the rooftop photo was one clear point in a bigger pattern. I said he was collecting mistakes like trophies. He said he was collecting reality. Ruth walked closer and asked if I wanted water. I said no and told her she did not need to hover. Ruth said she was not hovering. She said she was there for her son and grandchild. I asked where Piper was. Ruth said Piper was safe and not part of adult conflict today. That word, conflict, made my skin prickle. I told myself they were planning to blame me in public, and I told myself I could still flip it. Then a man in plain clothes walked toward us with a folder. He did not look like hospital staff. He looked like someone who did errands for a living. He stopped in front of me and asked my full name. I said it. He asked if I was the wife of Ethan LaMotte. I said yes, like that should end the question. He held out a thick envelope and said he had documents for me. I asked what documents. He said he could not give advice, and he only needed to confirm delivery. My hands went cold. I looked at Ethan and asked what this was. Ethan said he was handling it properly, like he told me. He said this was the start of formal steps. He said he was not going to argue at home and not going to fight in front of Piper. I took the envelope because people were looking. A woman in the cafe line stared at my fingers. A security guard near the door glanced over and then looked away like he had seen this before. I opened it right there. I could not help it. I expected a warning letter, maybe a demand, maybe some kind of threat I could laugh at later. It was not a threat. It was structure. The first pages said the marriage was being ended through official process. It said temporary orders were in place now. It listed rules about money and spending. It listed rules about the home. It said I could not move funds or create new debt on shared accounts. It said I had to communicate in a calm way about Piper and schedules, through clear channels, not chaos. I flipped more pages, fast. My breath felt loud. I saw a notice that said my authority to make medical decisions for Ethan was revoked. It said I was not his decision-maker anymore. It said other people were listed in my place. I looked up and asked Ethan if he was serious. Ethan said he was serious. He said he could not risk confusion again. Then I saw the page that made the lobby tilt. It said I was removed as beneficiary. It said I was removed from his will. It said any rights I had by being his spouse were being replaced by updated choices he made while he was alive and alert. It said it in plain words, like a door closing. I told myself it could not be real. I told myself you could not do that so fast. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I tried to check our joint account, the one I always treated like a safety net. The screen loaded, then failed. I tried again. It failed again. I told myself it was bad service in the lobby. I stepped to the cafe counter and ordered a coffee, just to prove I still could. The cashier ran my card. The machine made a dull sound and flashed a message. The cashier said it declined and asked if I had another payment. I stood there with the envelope in my hand and my card useless in the other. I felt eyes on my back. I turned and saw Ruth watching, not smiling, not proud, just steady. Ethan did not move toward me. He did not insult me. He did not raise his voice. He only said he hoped I would read everything and follow it. He said the child deserved peace. He said